Drawing by MICHAEL BYERS Right. Now, as football's four-year standings are about to begin, there's a discussion about the Canadian men's national team. Not that it's world-class in the end, which is true, or it's true that they are the most informed North American team, but the best non-European, non-South American national team in the world. To be fair, no non-European and non-South American team has ever won a World Cup. It even came close, but still something, assuming that everyone in the world watches and plays football and that 15% of the global population is the best at football. We are currently number one among 85 other countries. What is Qatar's ultimate goal? Top 5 Canadian football players at the 2022 World Cup. Coach John Herdman knows Canada is weak at the World Cup. He still wants you to support the team. 10-20 years ago, Canada was in the lower half. Sometimes, maybe the lower quarter. What changed? We have heard and will continue to hear some process-oriented statements from people in this country who make their living from football. If a business makes tons of money, the people who run it will never say, "Who knew people would love yoga pants so much?" They will not say, "The smartest people to execute their plans." In the case of the Canadian Football Association, the men's team has been successful thanks to scouting, coaching, grassroots development, good practices and money. The money must be in there somewhere. This way you get more. All of this is true to some extent, but mostly it's blind luck. When something really bad suddenly becomes really good, it's always luck. The most important luck was when Victoria and Debeah Davies chose Canada in the mid-mids. Everything good about the current Canadian program stems from this decision. Their son, Alphonso, who plays in Edmonton youth football, is another of those resolutions. The lucky selection of the right coaches and mentors is another. Choosing Major League Soccer as the starting point, Canada Soccer uses his proximity to persuade Davies to go to Canada when he has other options, let alone the foresight of the Vancouver Whitecaps letting him go to Germany, Bayern Munich wanting him. These are all very important, obvious choices. Reverse the order a bit and things could probably have gone very differently. Most North American team athletes are put into a pipeline at an early age. If you're very, very good at basketball at 12, someone important will notice. They are financially incentivized to do so. This type of pipeline does not exist in Canada. There is no direct route to the best clubs in Europe. The system supports people who can navigate through it. Definitely not supporting working-class refugees starting from go in the still waters of a football. When someone like Davies, despite his talent, manages to break through all these layers and join a major European team while still young, it's a kind of sporting miracle. In the case of Canada, it is luck that makes the others possible. The emergence of a generation of players around Davies who are roughly the same age and on the same developmental path is another bolt out of nowhere. 10 years ago, Jonathan David and Tajon Buchanan could have been Jonathan de Guzman or Owen Hargreaves. After challenging the Canadian football establishment for a while, they may have chosen other routes to national teams in other countries. David can play for his native USA. Buchanan may be looking to get into the Belgian setup, where he currently plays professionally. They could have been Dwayne De Rosario or Julian de Guzman, talented local produce, who spent their best years in low-level conflict with the people who run the country's football establishment, became increasingly disaffected and eventually alienated. Sometimes losing is not an isolated act. It can be a learned model. It's hard not to look back at the raw, collective talent of early 21st century Canadian teams and wonder how they lost so often when it was easier for them to win. Davies allowed David, Buchanan, and others to treat the Canadian national program with the respect it probably didn't deserve at the time it was broadcast. If such a good player thinks Canada is worth it, everyone else loses their permission to taunt. A great team is only as good as its best player thinks. Another big blow to Canadian luck is that the most talented player on the team has the personality strength to match. Davies took the theoretical idea, given its inherent advantages, Canada should be competitive in men's football, and made it practical. He did this by himself, long before Canada played in the World Cup. And no matter how it turned out, Davies is already, stress that word, the most valuable player out there. The right person who comes at the right time and makes the right choices for the right reasons. This is how Canada did it. In other words, blind luck. Here's the good news, bad news situation. The bad news is that World Cups don't tend to reward luck. People you think will win usually don't. They always do. This thing has never had a slightly surprising winner good enough to come out of the Canadian group. What happens next is a function of luck. But getting lucky once would still be a thing. The predicted soccer nations, South Korea, Cameroon, Ireland, are still dining in a spectacular race at a World Cup that hasn't resulted in a championship. Sometimes quarters are enough. The good news is that success tends to breed the same things. Each step Canada takes up the ladder increases the likelihood of taking the next step. Others have to win to justify their place in the football world. This one time only. Canada wins by participation only. We came to the world stage. Hearing our anthem played before the first game against Belgium will be a guide in Canadian sports history. And after that, who knows? It's possible. Highly unlikely. But possible. We're lucky with the timing of our luck. It would be the first. But the firsts are also the result of luck.